Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, and I have a pretty interesting topic for you to share with you guys today. Now, yesterday, October 8th, Sony did release a number of details, pretty much announcing what the name of the next console was going to be and when it was going to be released, as well as they released some specs, details, and I pretty much just wanted to go over them, pretty quickly and just give my initial thoughts on all of them. So, I'm going to leave a link to the article that I got this from in the description down below if you want to read it a little bit in depth yourself. But pretty much Sony has confirmed that the next gen console will in fact be PlayStation 5, which I think is good. Keep it simple, 5th generation consoles, that's good. And it will be launching next year, holiday 2020. I think most people who have been, if you're someone like me who's been following Sony for a very long time, or if you've been in the gaming industry, I don't think that this release date is surprising. Microsoft is going to be releasing their console next year, so obviously you want to compete with them. It's unclear what part of the holiday season they're going to release it in. Maybe it'll be December. My best guess is probably November, because when you look at the initial release dates that they've had over the years, PlayStation 1 released in Japan in 94 and then came here in the States in 95. PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. PlayStation 3 came out in 2006. PlayStation 4 came out in 2013. So 2020 seems about perfect now. There's usually like a 6 or 7, 8 year gap between releases, so that's good. They also released some details explaining how they're going to make some changes to the controller. Basically stating that the primary R2 and L2 triggers are going to be called what is called adaptive triggers. And the way that they've described it from this article, basically there are triggers that are going to be able to determine the amount of pressure that you're putting on the triggers. Like for example, that they mentioned like if you're drawing a bow, it'll be able to determine how much pressure your character that is having the bullet is pulling, depending on just how much you're putting. Or if you're playing a driving game, it'll be able to actually determine just how much gas to put, which is interesting, because usually when you just press these buttons, the car just kind of goes. But I believe that we've experienced something like that before, so that is a little bit surprising. They've also stated that the charging port will also be switched to a USB-C, which I think is actually cool, because now that it's using the same port that I use for my Samsung Galaxy, so I've already got plenty of wires, so I've got plenty of backup, so I'm already set and ready to go. It's also stated that in an interview with Wired, Sony's Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan also pretty much stated that they are using a ray trace acceleration in their GPU hardware. Very, very interesting. I'm not much of a tech guy, but I do know that a GPU, in terms of acceleration, they pretty much want to make sure that this system is running faster. It seems like the main drive of this console is just to be able to do what the PlayStation 4 is doing, but a little bit faster. They haven't really released any details in terms of main differences, but they just want to make the connectivity between certain programs be a little bit smoother. And they have also stated that the PlayStation 5 will be using standard 100 gig Blu-ray discs, which is cool, because I think the discs that we use are 50 gigs, not including the typical patches or updates that most games that we get come with. And with the internal SSD, it'll be able to install much faster. And though games installation will be mandatory, basically the main trick that they want to add with the interface is they essentially want to give you the option, or pretty much the ability, to pretty much jump right into the game without having to load it up. So if there's a specific moment that you want to go into, immediately, if you want to jump right into single player once the game is installed, or multiplayer, you'll be able to do that just from pressing on the app itself. Which is interesting, because technically can't you do that with the PlayStation 4 already? Because if I already have the game ready to go, and I press the home screen, it automatically goes back and forth. I'm not sure if it allows me to go into, I haven't tried, either I can't remember or I haven't tried it. Usually I can open up other apps if I'm in the middle of a game, or it forces you to turn off. Maybe we won't have to turn off your game. Maybe if I'm playing, say, like, I don't know, some sort of downloadable game, and all of a sudden I say, you know, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna watch some Netflix. I can just, you know, go into Netflix and the game will still be running while I'm watching or streaming Netflix. I think that would be pretty interesting addition. So from what I'm hearing, they basically, I'll be honest, from what I'm reading from this, it kind of feels like a PlayStation 4.5. I'm not really, I mean, I haven't got my hands on it, so I can't confirm that. But it just looks like their main goal is to simply make a much faster running, smoother running console, which is okay. I'm not sure if that's enough for me to warrant a day one buy, but I will tell you this much. With this announcement, I think it's a safe assumption. I can't confirm this, but I think it's a safe assumption that whenever E3 2020 is announced, or like, I'm not even sure what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be at the convention center like they always do. But this will definitely be an E3 I will want to go. The last E3 I went to was like 2013, so that was, you know, I think that was the year that PlayStation 4 was released. It wasn't the year it was announced. I think it was announced in 2012. I think this is when they first showed it off. I think I may be wrong, but you know, they're definitely, it's going to be a big E3 if it happens. I mean, they're going to release the next Microsoft console, and then you got the PlayStation console, so it will definitely be one to be a part of, and hopefully I'll get some hands on. But coming from someone that actually did get the PlayStation 4 on release day, me personally, I just think I'm going to hold off on this one. Not saying, you know, it was a bad experience, but even for someone like me who's a massive PlayStation fanboy, I will admit that the initial release for the PlayStation 4 was a little bit rough. I only had like one game, which was Killzone Shadowfall, which was a good game, but I think that by the time I decide to pick up a PlayStation 5, unless the interface or it has some sort of additions that like I need to get day one, which I don't think it'll have, I think I'll wait until there's at least, say, 4 or 5 games that you can only play on the PlayStation 5, because I think that if they continue to have games that release on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, I just don't think there will be a need to get a PlayStation 5 immediately, especially since they have confirmed that it will be backwards compatible, which I think the PlayStation 4 not being backwards compatible was probably the one big mistake that Sony did with this current gen systems, which, you know, hopefully they're, you know, obviously it's smart that they're not going to be repeating that mistake. So overall, I am liking everything I'm hearing for the PlayStation 5. It does look it's going to be a very, very good console once it's getting everything going. I'm just saying that in terms of the actual specs and the changes, just to me personally, it's not a day one buy unless they somehow show off a release title that I have to play on day one, in which, if that is the case, I'm sure one of my friends will pick it up day one. I'll just go play it at their house. So those are just my initial thoughts on all the details that Sony released on the PlayStation 5. Again, I will leave a link to the article if you want to read a little bit more details yourself. And if you happen to like this video, don't forget give it a thumbs up, and don't press that subscribe button to help grow the channel. And please share your guys' thoughts on what you would like to see for the PlayStation 5. I definitely will be making a video just adding like the top 5 things that I hope to see on the PlayStation 5. So it'll be like probably a vastly superior console to the PlayStation 4. And with that out of the way, I would like to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.